to the Foresight Scrolls, where we take a look at charts using the Foresight Suite indicators built for Tradingview. If you're ever here and want to drop something in the chat, maybe you want me to take a look at a symbol, I'd be happy to do that with some technical analysis alongside the Foresight indicators. I'd be happy to at any time. Each day we take a look at the indices, we take a look at cryptocurrencies, we take a look at commodities, so on and so forth. And today we had a dump out in the market, something we had been anticipating for a while, but it's been such a strange last 6 months in the market. It looked like this thing was never going to happen, but right now on screen we're looking at the NASDAQ 100, and you can see how well we performed here. Yet again, we had a premonition at damn near the very top of the market. You know, if you were to say this was the top, I would have to concede that. But you see, we get a premonition right here at the top. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And then we get our confluence short spell right here, which is where we actually take the entry. And then you can see we've had a sell-off. And in the NASDAQ, 4%. That's huge in the NASDAQ. Or in the S&P. And let's take a look at the S&P since we're on to the indices here. And we've been following this up channel that this thing has been in back since late February, early March. And again, you see we had the premonition here on the 4-hour chart, almost to a T to the very top of this market. And if this thing were to come back up and retest and then fall out, and we get a down market, a bear market for the next 6 months, and we can look back and say that the Foresight indicator called the very top of the stock market, that's going to be really something to hang our hat on. I'm really looking forward to seeing if that plays out like that. But it has been a weird market, so we'll see. One of the things that we've been tracking is our epoch. That's our line in the sand between a bull and a bear market. You can see by technical analysis, it's been in this up channel for a very long time. And it's been about a month ago, we had a huge sell-off. I think there's some news-related event here. Of course, there's always a news-related event. There's always a spin on what Wall Street is doing. Make no mistake about it, Wall Street is doing something, and then they have a story for it. We see, though, that our epoch holds this thing up brilliantly. So this thing goes on for, I don't know how many trading days that is. It's over a week of trading days, and it's holding that thing the entire time, pinching between that and the technical analysis of the up channel. And then they break it back up, and so we get this bull trap, essentially, because we've broken down out of the channel. That's clear. And then it pops up, we get a premonition, and then this huge sell-off in the S&P. This thing comes down again, about 3.5%, I would say, roughly. And we push back up into it end of day, into the epoch. And this after hours, you can see we're peaking above it. Now, one thing with the trading, we want to make sure that we have a candle close on either side, really. You know, if we're trying to break down, we want a candle close on the bottom. And we think about a daily chart here. So let's see where this is at on the daily. So if you look at the daily, we wicked below. So we have not gotten a close below technically. Although when the markets open Monday morning, this thing will have closed below. We'll see if this after hours bounce holds up. We'll see. I'm not so sure. Although there is something here that we should be aware of, is that we rarely, and you look back since February or March, have gotten any sort of bullish premonition. And now we've gotten our first bullish premonition. We'll see if we get a long spell here in the next few trading days. And if we do, technical analysis would tell us that we'll take the long off of our Foresight indicator without question. But what technical analysis tells us is that there will be a retest, most likely of one to two things. The first thing is going to be this up channel. So we would expect that we get a push up into the up channel, and I'm assuming it hits somewhere along in here and maybe pushes up for a few days. So then we're also testing our top. So this may actually turn into a retest and or a double top. And if it can't beat that, then all signs point down, all signs point bear. We'll see though. There's a stock that I have up here that we've followed a few times, which is very curious. It's been in this ridiculous run up. So let's go out to the weekly. Go out to the weekly so we can see how long this thing has been running. So unnatural. And you can see we've been essentially just riding our wave up the entire time. And for the first time, we had this just wicked sell-off down below the epoch, down below this trend line that's been holding everything up. I actually thought this thing was toast. I thought it would close below it. I really did. And it went down the first half of the day, and the second half it just went up, and it's still pushing up into the into after hours here. You can see that we are getting a slow rollover, but not a very big one. It's more of a flat line here in our trend. So what we're waiting for is really what's going to tell us if this thing's going up or down is how our trend starts to behave with price in these next several days as this thing moves sideways. If it continues to push up and close up, then and we get a long spell here on top of this premonition, that spells more upside. It's hard to deny that the way this thing has been moving. It's just been an incredible runner. GE Aerospace, which is a legacy company. GE's a legacy company. It was split up into several different companies years back, but it's one of those legacy companies, no doubt, really plugged into institutional money goings-ons behind the scenes, so on and so forth. So we're just watching that. It's just something to pay attention to, if for nothing else, to realize that if you see something dumping out, you need to wait to see if that thing's going to be confirmed or not. Because if it doesn't confirm, it hasn't dumped. It's just wicked. That's it. You can see here, this was on an earnings call. We got this massive pump to the upside because it beat earnings so much. And that very next day had this just massive dump, this massive red candle here. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's doing its thing. It's doing what we've sort of talked about and mentioned here, is that we got a premonition here. It's getting support off of a major trend line. Let me show you what trend line this is. This is the previous bull market top back in 2021. So that's what it's bouncing off of right now. So not only are you getting a bounce off of that bull market top, you are creating, well, on the daily, look, we've got a premonition, and we're just going to watch for this thing to turn around. Who knows? There may be a lot of upside here in Bitcoin. We'll see. I'm not so sure that I believe that. If you drop down to the 4 hour, you see we have this clear double bottom. But as of now, it has not broken. You would break it with a close. Let me show you here. With a close right here above the average of these top candles. If you closed above that, especially a second candle closed of confirmation, that would be a true double top, and then we would expect this thing to have some legs to run up. If this thing can't break and prints a premonition, a bearish premonition, and a spell, then this thing may just come back down and we may just be stuck in a little channel here or something along those lines. We'll see, because this is a major support line, and until we break it and retest it, it will just be that for us, a support. Let's take a look at, I saw this today. I was looking at some stocks for someone, and I saw Tyson Foods. Tyson Foods is a stock that will or should perform well in a bear market. And you can see it's been in this downward wedge. This is on the daily. So normally a downward wedge is going to break up at some point. Say roughly 70-75%, it's going to break up or break out to the upside. And I happen to notice you can see here the E, that's the earnings call. So we have an earnings call on Monday, apparently. And today this stock was actually up here. So it sold off into our bottom trend line here of the wedge, and then has already bounced this high up. So this is going to be a really interesting earnings call on Monday. So if you happen to catch this video, I would highly suggest you watch Tyson Foods. If they have good earnings, especially because this may be going into a bear market over the next, I would say, like, if it's going to happen, maybe it begins within about a month. We start to see that maybe. Just depending on how the S&P, how we see that play out. That's our indication which way we're going, most likely. But if the S&P starts to break down, Tyson Foods is a stock that's more of a safety play. It's a recession stock, and it's been in this downward wedge, that this may be a really great thing to break out. Now, if I were to watch this on the 4-hour, which is where we would most likely play it, and this is great. We got a long spell here right at the bottom of this trend line. That's amazing. Wish I would have seen that, actually. So we have this push up. We've already had it check back, and now moving up again. If we were to get something like a long spell to roll over one more time, maybe it comes up into this area and gives us a little bull flag and a long spell for a breakout, that would be an absolutely excellent trade. All right, well, thanks for stopping by. And if you ever have any questions, you can email us through the website on ForesightScrolls.com. You can message here. You can watch the tutorial videos. If you're interested in getting the Foresight Suite, you can check that out on ForesightScrolls.com. We have a Discord. The Discord is free to hop into. Thanks for stopping by.